President Trump, or President-elect Trump, to be more accurate, now goes for the deep state's throat. Good morning, Boston. Okay, Kuhner country. Ha 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 ha. Matt Gaetz, baby. Washington absolutely rocked by the decision yesterday. Trump made his final pick on who would be his attorney general, and it has stunned official Washington. Matt Gaetz, yes, the MAGA conservative firebrand in Congress, Congressman Matt Gaetz, has now been selected to be the attorney general for President-elect Trump's second term. And already, Washington's heads are exploding. The deep state is preparing for the mother of all battles. The establishment now says they will not confirm Gaetz. It is going to be a monumental struggle, but I got to tell you, my friends, Matt Gaetz, contrary to conventional wisdom, contrary to what you're hearing from many on Fox, CNN is losing its mind. MSNBC, I'm telling you, they're going to have a heart attack. They are going apoplectic. Matt Gaetz is the perfect MAGA attorney general for Donald Trump. And I'll tell you why. From beginning to end, Gaetz is a pit bull. What this signals, as I said on X yesterday, and I want to repeat this to all of you now, the selection, the choice of Matt Gaetz, Congressman Gaetz, to be Donald Trump's attorney general shows that Donald Trump now is going for the throat of the deep state. This is now all out war. And what Trump is now doing, and it's not just Gaetz, it's appointing Tulsi Gabbard to be the next director of national intelligence. It's a Congressman Mike Waltz as national security advisor. It's John Ratcliffe as the CIA director. And apparently now the rumors are Kash Patel, incredibly, Kash Patel, who says he wants to go to war with the deep state as FBI director. Now, that one has not yet been confirmed. It's a rumor. But if it's true, what Trump is now clearly saying, as loudly as he can say it, is that he is now going to utterly dismantle and destroy the entire deep state. He is going to clean out the FBI, clean out the CIA, clean out DNI, clean out all the other NSA, all of the other intelligence agencies. And in particular, Matt Gaetz has vowed that if he is Trump's attorney general, and I believe that's the reason why Trump picked him, the 51 intelligence officials who lied about Hunter Biden's laptop are now going to be facing criminal prosecution. Those on the J6 committee, like Liz Cheney, who lied about what happened on January 6th, are going to be facing criminal prosecution. Those that tried to frame the president, illegally spied and framed the president, Donald Trump, for colluding with Russia, are now going to be facing criminal prosecution. In short, whether it's Merrick Garland, who waged lawfare against Trump from the Department of Justice, whether it's James Comey, whether it's Andrew McCabe, whether it's Hillary Clinton, whether it's John Brennan, whether it's James Clapper, all of these deep state traitors now are going to feel the spotlight of the Department of Justice. And as Trump himself said when he announced Matt Gaetz as his attorney general yesterday, in his public statement, he said the thing about Matt Gaetz is that he has been the leading voice in Congress, and especially on the House Judiciary Committee, of now exposing the corruption and abuse of power within the entire Department of Justice, the entire FBI, and in particular, the use of lawfare, of weaponizing our legal system, weaponizing the Department of Justice to persecute, harass, and destroy political enemies, with Donald Trump being Exhibit A. But it's not just Trump. What I think makes Matt Gaetz uniquely qualified to be able to root out this systemic abuse of power, this deep-seated corruption, this lawfare and weaponization that the Democrats have now entrenched, is that Gaetz himself is a victim of lawfare. And that's why he is so passionate about this issue, because he has felt it and experienced it firsthand for years. And I mean years. The DOJ has been trying to nail Matt Gaetz. The Democrats have been trying to put him behind bars on these bogus allegations that he apparently slept with an underage girl at a party, that there were drugs at a party, and they have been selectively leaking and leaking and leaking in the media with the intent of ruining Gaetz's reputation and never giving him due process or the ability to challenge and refute his accusers. And they've been doing this over many, many years, with these disgusting leaks and these disgusting smears that it now turns out no evidence whatsoever. None. Never corroborated, never verified, never proven. But there they are, smearing him and smearing him and smearing him. And they did this in the media with this constant witch hunt of this investigation hanging over him in order to try to silence, bully, and professionally discredit and destroy him. And so Gaetz has now told Trump, I know what lawfare is. You suffered it. You were the victim. I suffered it. I was the victim. Unleash me on these people and I will take them all out. And so what you're now watching, with the pick of Matt Gaetz in particular, but in context, Tulsi Gabbard, the mortal enemy of the corrupt deep state, John Ratcliffe, the mortal enemy of the CIA and their corrupt abusive practices, Mike Waltz as national security advisor, a staunch patriot who is opposed to the military-industrial complex. What you're seeing now is Trump is building together an incredible all-star cabinet that is not just loyal to Trump. The days of the establishment rhinos leaking and undermining Trump as they did in his first term are over. Over. You're going to see a very different cabinet. You're not going to see leaks. You're not going to see infighting. You're not going to see sabotage. And in particular, what the choice of Matt Gaetz signifies to me, and of course people can agree to disagree, is that the era of lawfare, the era of the weaponization of the Department of Justice to lash out and smash and persecute and destroy political opponents and enemies is now coming to an end. It is over. And that's why Matt Gaetz was chosen. Trump wanted a hammer as the head of the Department of Justice, and Matt Gaetz is the mother of all hammers. Now, already the reaction, the backlash has been fierce and furious. That's why I told Mike, I said, Mike, let's not come in with our usual music. Come in with Rocky. Because this is going to be like the Rocky movies. This is going to be a fight, a bloodbath to the finish. Democrats are vowing a jihad to stop Attorney General or Attorney General nominee Gaetz. They don't want him in the AG position at all costs. The CIA is losing its mind. The DOJ has now said that they will not allow Gaetz to be confirmed. And already, rhino establishment Republicans, emboldened by the victory of John Thune yesterday to be the Senate Majority Leader, are now, Susan Collins says she's probably a no. Senator Mike Rounds of South Dakota says he's probably a no. You've got other Republicans now who have come out and said they're probably not going to vote for Matt Gaetz. So whether Gaetz can now be confirmed, he needs 50 votes plus J.D. Vance as the tiebreaker, we shall see. It is going to be the mother of all battles to get him across the finish line. But Trump believes he can do it. He believes he has the mandate. And he now says, I won. I should be allowed to pick who I want to staff my cabinet. So, my question to you, my friends, Matt Gaetz has now been chosen to be Trump's attorney general. I love the pick. Many of you do not. And a lot of you think he's not qualified, he's not ready for the job, he doesn't have the stature, and that he's too much of a bomb thrower and a firebrand. I want to hear from all of you. Do you support Gaetz as Attorney General? 620 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, Trump has now rocked Washington. There's just no other way to put it, with his pick of Matt Gaetz. Now, there are other picks that he made yesterday to fill out his cabinet. There's still more picks to be made, but he clearly is signaling now a war with the deep state. He says he's got a mandate. He will drain that swamp. And these are all, many of them are all our swamp drainers. Tulsi Gabbard has now been chosen to be the next head chief of director of national intelligence. Huge appointment. She has made it her mission to expose and dismantle the entire deep state. Furthermore, John Ratcliffe, director of CIA, says he will now structurally reform the CIA, plus they are going to release the Kennedy tapes. All of the information regarding the assassination of John F. Kennedy is going to be released. 9/11 is going to be released. And in particular, the CIA's role in spying on the Trump campaign in 2016 and trying to frame him as an agent of Putin and Russia. So all of this now, Ratcliffe vows to expose as the head of the CIA. So what you're starting to see now is that Trump has learned his lesson from the first term. You know, he often says this, I only make a mistake once. I never make the same mistake a second time. And the big mistake he made, he said the first time, was he picked people he didn't know based on recommendations from people like Mitch McConnell or Paul Ryan or people he thought would have the best interests of him and the Republican Party at heart, but they really turned out to be rhino establishment hacks who were determined to sabotage Trump from the outset. And he said, you know, I'm done with the Bill Barrs at Attorney General or the Jeff Sessions at Attorney General. I want somebody I know has my back and, more importantly, has the back of my voters. And that's why he picked Matt Gaetz. Now, as an example. Now, just very quickly, because the reaction to Gaetz, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this for a member of a cabinet. Ever. Democrats are vowing, as I said in my opening monologue, a holy war. They are not going to allow Gaetz to be confirmed. They say they will do everything in their power to block him, which to me shows how much they fear Gaetz. The deep state is completely petrified. Merrick Garland is in a complete panic. DOJ insiders now fear that they're going to be exposed and many of them are going to go to jail. Now, the problem is the Democrats do not have enough votes to block Gaetz. They need Judas Republicans to cross the aisle. And they're starting to already come. So Susan Collins didn't quite say no, but pretty much said, I'm not going to vote for him. Saying that she doesn't believe he has the qualifications, he has the stature, He has the maturity. He has the judgment, the sobriety to be an attorney general. So she has now come out basically saying she's very negative on Gaetz, very unhappy with the pick. I mentioned Senator Mike Rounds, South Dakota, a Thune ally. He also now says he's very unhappy with the Gaetz pick. So already there are 2 defections or near defections. And there are many, many others who are privately saying, we will not put this man in the AG office. So either Trump can do a recess appointment and get Gaetz in that way, or he's going to have to really dig in and lean as much as he can on as many senators as he can to get to 50, and then J.D. Vance will be the deciding vote, and Gaetz is in by, 50 plus 1. Because as vice president, J.D. Vance will be the tie-breaking vote. Now, let me just say one more thing, and then I want to open it up to the phone lines. 617-266-6868. Couple lines are open if you want to jump on. This argument that Gaetz is unqualified for the job, or that somehow he's this bomb thrower, or a loose cannon, and the way the media is snickering and laughing at him. So compared to who? No, really, honestly, look at the attorney generals that we've had in terms of, expertise and stature and professionalism. Janet Reno, Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder, Merrick Garland, Jeff Sessions under Trump, Bill Barr, Porterhouse Steak, who never did anything except be a rug mat for the Democrats to run right over him, and he deliberately turned a blind eye to crime after crime after crime after crime. Alberto Gonzalez under Bush. Remember some of the AGs that served under Bush? Ashcroft. We've had nothing but horrible attorney generals. Or attorneys general. We've had nothing but horrible attorneys general. Going back 35, 40 years. One worse than the other. One more crooked and corrupt than the other. And they put up this bogus ethics investigation into him. And look, I'm a fish or cut bait kind of a guy. If you have evidence that he had inappropriate relations with an underage girl, that allegation has been there for, 4 or 5 years? Well, fish or cut bait. Show me the evidence. They can't. Because there isn't any evidence. Gaetz is the man for the job. The swamp is losing its mind. They are, for lack of a better term, freaking out. 6:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. They have now been hit by an absolute political earthquake. And that earthquake yesterday, among all of Trump's other picks, was the one that really, really has dropped the hammer. And you can tell has frightened them to their very core. And that, of course, is the choice, the selection of Congressman Matt Gaetz as the next attorney general. Now, Gaetz is already, upon the news of his nomination, tendered his resignation in Congress. He is actually no longer a member of Congress. He tendered his resignation effective immediately yesterday, and he is now gearing up for what's going to be a massive, monumental confirmation battle. Lines are jammed. I'm going to go right to the phone lines very quickly. I just want to give you just a taste of what the media is saying about the Gaetz nomination. Democrats, many Republicans on Fox News, establishment Republicans on Fox, very unhappy. Many Republicans in the Senate, very unhappy. The Democrats are, to a man and woman, determined to kneecap Gaetz and deny him confirmation. Already now, they are vowing an all-out war. Here is Jake Tapper on CNN. Okay, fake Tapper on This is CNN. Shocked, and I mean shocked, thunderstruck at Matt Gaetz being nominated to be Attorney General. Roll cut 13, Mike.
Welcome to The Lead. I'm Dick Tapper, and let me begin the show by uttering some words that I never contemplated using together before, and those words are U.S. Attorney General Matt Gaetz. Because if you were wondering what Trump without the guardrails looked like, well, we're getting an idea beyond the theoretical. We are starting with breaking news on so many fronts related to President-elect Donald Trump's transition. President-elect, of course, Trump announced just minutes ago on Truth Social that he is picking Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida to be the next U.S. Attorney General.
Now, you can tell right away, look, when your enemies are screaming to the high moon about how much they hate Gaetz, you know he struck a nerve. And notice now the line of attack is, here's Trump, the real Trump, unhinged, crazy, demented, and these are the kinds of picks like Gaetz, who's crazy and demented. That's the media narrative. And I noticed this morning on CNN, whenever they mention Gaetz or the Gaetz story, they're all smirking. So it's going to be a campaign of mockery, of vilification, of relentless, ceaseless attacks on Gaetz. And I'm going to play some cuts of Gaetz later in the show. And you're going to say, that's why they're against him. Because in hearing after hearing, he has spoken truth to power. And that's now their fear, that it's all going to come crashing down and it's all going to be exposed. And as I said on X, many, many people from Comey to McCabe to Hillary to Brennan to Clapper, you can go right down the list, are going to go to jail. Or at a bare minimum, their crimes are going to be made public, unmasked, and exposed. And that's why they have to now destroy Matt Gaetz. Agree, disagree? What do you make of Trump's decision to pick Matt Gaetz? Good pick, bad pick? John in Dunstable. You're going to kick us off, John. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
There might be a little green light at the end of this tunnel, Jeff, and I was very leery of it, but I'm going to tell you right now, everybody should just open their eyes and see if they don't want them, we want them, because they're petrified, Jeff, of what that man is, like you said, what he's going to expose. We need someone that was tortured by the deep state, not someone that's going to coddle to their ways and, say, oh, it's bad for America. It's bad for America. Well, let's just let this go like actually President Trump did to Clinton. Look what happened when he cut her slack. She pulled the knives out and was knifing him in the back for his whole 4 years and after. This is what we need, Jeff. We have to clean house and expose all of the illegal activity that the United States government has been portraying on the people of the United States. That's what has to happen, Jeff.
John, I agree with you, not 100, as I like to say, but 1,000%. But let me just play devil's advocate, because this is the argument you're going to hear from many on Fox. I'm not talking to Democrats and the fake news media industrial complex. Okay, the liars in the media. That goes without saying. But Republicans, some of them are going to say this, and Fox, many of the pundits are going to say this. So I just want to get what your answer to that would be. That Gaetz, according to them, is a bomb thrower. He's crazy. That he is someone who has made a lot of enemies. He's hated in Congress. He's hated in the House. He's hated in the Senate. That he's too much of a wild man for a position like Attorney General. And that he doesn't have the votes to be confirmed. That Trump may want him. Trump may love his speeches. Trump and Gaetz may see eye to eye on many issues. They're simpatico. But that the Susan Collins of this world, the John Thunes of this world, who's now going to be the Senate Majority Leader, that many of these establishment Republicans are not going to confirm someone like Matt Gaetz, because either they have too much to lose or the entire establishment has too much to lose. And that in the end, he will not be able to get 50 votes, and this nomination is going to crash and burn, and that Trump should just go ahead and pick somebody else. What say you?
Your own question that you asked me. The rhinos, the corrupt Republicans, aren't going to give them the votes. But those are the people that we have to weed out, Jeff. That's who has to go. We should be defunding the Democratic Party, number one, because they're communists and traitors against the country. All the Democrat politicians, not the Democratic people, because they believe the lies that is spewed by these people, but the Democratic politicians and all the rhinos, they have to go, Jeff, because the game playing is over. No more corruption, no more stealing from the people, because that's what they're doing, and the treasonous acts that they're committing on everybody, Jeff. They all have to go, and I honestly think that once they start exposing, all the corruption that the government's been doing, I think you're going to even see the Democratic people, not the politicians, come on our side.
I agree. No, John, I think your answer is brilliant. I completely agree with you. Look, expose all their crimes. Expose their massive corruption. Expose their treason, all of it. Their law breaking, their lawlessness. And I think you're going to see, Tulsi Gabbard is a typical Democrat whose eyes were opened. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Elon Musk, I can go down the list. There's millions more of Democrats like that who are anti-war, anti-deep state, pro-civil liberties, and they're going to look at this and say, OMG, this is what our government's been doing behind the shadows? No. The whole thing has to come crashing down. No. Enough is enough. We need structural, massive reform across the board. So I agree with you, John. And that's why I think, look, for this moment in time, in this MAGA moment, Trump deserves a MAGA attorney general. And Gaetz is nothing but MAGA. And, I got to say this about Gaetz. When Trump was at his lowest point, Gaetz never abandoned him. He was the one, in fact, that said, you know what, let's make him House Speaker. If you remember in 2021, 2022, he said, let's get him in there as House Speaker so he can fight and defend himself. So Gaetz has been one of the most ardent, staunch defenders of Trump. And the Russian collusion hoax, Gaetz exposed it. The lies about the Hunter Biden laptop and those 51 intelligence officials, it was Gaetz that exposed it. The illegal surveillance and spying on Trump, that was Gaetz that exposed it. Merrick Garland, I'm going to play the clip. Merrick Garland, the fact that they sent their top DOJ official, Matthew Colangelo, to work with Alvin Bragg to go after Trump in that BS hush money case, that Judge Merchan eventually got him on. It was Matt Gaetz who exposed it, saying this is lawfare straight from Merrick Garland and DOJ. It was Matt Gaetz who exposed so much of the Hunter Biden selling of influence and the Biden crime family. And Gaetz is one of the, Marjorie Taylor Greene, there are others. But Anna Paulina Luna, I could name you at least 10, 15 others. But he's one of the few that said, no, what are being done are high crimes and misdemeanors. And people need at a minimum to lose their jobs, if not go behind bars. And remember, Gaetz did the unforgivable, according to the Swamp. He was the one that brought down that wet noodle, that rhino shill, that liar and traitor, Kevin McCarthy. So, to me, Gaetz is the man for now. 649 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. To Gaetz or not to Gaetz? That is the question. Donald Trump now literally stuns Washington, rocks them to their very foundations, picking Matt Gaetz to be his next attorney general. Already now the battle lines are being drawn. My question to you, do you support this pick or do you think it is a mistake? 617-266-6868. Will in Florida. Thanks for holding, Will, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Until yesterday, Matt Gaetz was my congressman, and I love it. In the words of McDonald's, ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving it.
Now, are you loving it that he's going to be the AG, or are you loving it that he's gone, that he resigned because he's no longer your member of Congress?
Well, we love the guy down here, and you can tell because every 2 years he runs against the naval aviator in the primary, and this is naval aviator country. I'm driving NAS Pensacola right now, which is where all of the naval aviators come through, and they all eventually retire. This is a military town, and he runs against military every 2 years, and he always comes out on top. We love him.
So, Will, what do you make of him as Attorney General? Do you like the idea? Do you like the pick? And what do you make of and there's no other way to say it, the ferocious, rabid, almost borderline insane opposition now to Gaetz?
I think it's a setup, and here's why. They're not thinking this through. Let's suppose he goes for his confirmation hearing, and he's trashed by Susan Collins and Rhino X and Rhino Y, and he's not confirmed. Well, interestingly enough, Marco Rubio is going to state, which means there's an open senator position that is going to be filled by our governor. Now, let me see if I can remember his name. Oh, yeah, Ron DeSantis. Now, Matt Gaetz has already resigned from Congress, so he'll be needing a job, right?
Interesting. So you're saying basically for Gaetz, it's heads I win, tails you lose. In other words, either he's confirmed as AG, or if they wage a nasty, bloody fight against him, then DeSantis can come in and say, okay, I'm going to make him U.S. Senator. So either way, Gaetz wins, correct?
Yep, they stir him up like a wet hornet, and they drop him in amongst the pigeons.
Interesting. Will, overall, though, are you shocked at the backlash, the intense, really almost, I've never seen this kind of reaction. The only thing that comes close is the reaction to Trump. But it's, he's insane. He's out of his mind. He's crazy. He can't be allowed to be attorney general. They're willing to go to war to prevent him from becoming AG. Have you ever seen anything like this?
I don't recall seeing anything like this, but I think we all knew war was coming, and if war's coming, who do you want on the front line, a mad wet hornet or a limp noodle? I'm
with you. Will, I'm with you. Buddy, thank you very much for that call. Look, I can't remember the caller's name, but it was really one of the best calls we've had, where after Trump's victory, and I'll never forget this, he said, you know what this really is? It's D-Day. I'm like, well, what do you mean by D-Day? He said, well, that's the successful landing on the beaches of Normandy during World War II. And he goes, what the Trump term, the next 4 years, is going to be the long, hard slog towards Berlin, where we're going to be meeting ferocious resistance and counterfire every step of the way. Basically, it's going to be 4 years of political all-out war. And he believes, like with D-Day, eventually it's going to be successful and we're going to win. But he's like, don't think this thing is over. This thing is far from over. We just got a strategic beachhead. We've got the White House, we have the Senate, and now it was officially confirmed yesterday that the Republicans have hit 218, so they have a majority in the House. But this is going to be 4 years of trench warfare. Now, to use the World War II analogy, to me, politically, obviously not militarily, but politically, Matt Gaetz reminds me of Patton. If you remember, Patton was one of our best generals, speaking of the drive to Berlin, after we landed in Normandy. But, what was the criticism of him then by the entire military political establishment? Patton was crazy. Patton's a wild man. Patton is out of control. Patton is too unpredictable. He's not right in the head. He can't be controlled. He's in it for himself. He's a prima donna. So all of the criticisms against Gaetz were levied against Patton. And yet Patton was one of our most brilliant, effective generals who really took it to the enemy and gave no quarter, expected no quarter, gave no quarter. To me, Matt Gaetz reminds me very much politically of a kind of Patton. I mean, yeah, he's firing everywhere. And yeah, he's a bit of a loose cannon. And yes, he's got a big ego. I mean, but the guy's a fighter. The guy's a warrior. The guy's a pit bull. And he is going to be, I believe, he's the man of the hour. He's got the guts to fight the deep state all the way to the end. He's willing to be a transformational figure in the Department of Justice. Think about what they've done with the Attorney General and the DOJ for 40, 50 years. One loser after another. At best, one non-entity after another. If not outright corrupt hack. Again, to remind everybody, Janet Reno, Eric Holder, Alberto Gonzalez, remember under Bush, Michael Mukasey, Merrick Garland, under Trump, Jeff Sessions. You want to talk about a wet noodle? Ay, ay, ay. And then Porterhouse Steak, Bill Barr. Now, they all had quote unquote stature. They all had the right expertise. They all were thought so well of by official Washington. What did they do? What did they accomplish? At best, nothing. And for most of them, they entrenched massive corruption. The kind of corruption now that is threatening to destroy our country and our republic. Now, you look at Matt Gaetz. They're going on about, he's not a prosecutor. He's never spent a day in a courtroom. College degree from William and Mary, law degree. Very brilliant legal mind. You've seen him on the House Judiciary Committee. I mean, he's like a surgeon in there. The way he tore up Merrick Garland, the way he's been tearing up Democrats. He's one of the Republicans' most articulate, effective spokespeople. He's a killer. He goes for the political jugular. And his political philosophy, his legal philosophy, he is MAGA, America first, all the way. All the way. And you see this is, I think, why they're afraid. He's not Bill Barr. He's not a barker. All bark, no bite. No, he barks. Matt Gaetz has got a big mouth, big bark, but he's got one mother bite, like a pit bull. And they realize if this guy gets in as AG, he's going to tear our throats apart. Once he gets his teeth into you, he's not going to let go. And that's what they really fear. Just my humble opinion. Dave in Boston. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, Dave.
And I'll get off the line.
Go ahead.
I'll get off the line. First point, Trump made a good choice with Gaetz because the swamp is so apoplectic. Second point, anybody who thinks Kevin McCarthy is not the rhino's rhino needs their head examined. Third point, Mitch McConnell just put the first nail in Trump's coffin by not allowing Rick Scott to take over as president of the Senate.
Bang, bang, bang. Dave, I wish I could have you over for Thanksgiving. We agree on everything. Really, great minds think alike. Dave, look, I was not happy with John Thune yesterday. And I think this is, at least we now know what we're dealing with. So you had, three candidates to succeed McConnell: Thune, Cornyn, The two of them are rhinos. And, of course, Rick Scott, who's a Trump loyalist. On the first ballot, Thune got 23 votes. Cornyn got 15 votes. Rick Scott got 13 votes. So Rick Scott actually finished third on the first ballot. He went from 11 to 13. The only two people that we were able to flip with all those phone calls was Blackburn and Ted Cruz. They were going to privately vote against Scott. Now they had to vote for him because somebody leaked a list and they got called out. So let's say at best, we've got 13 senators that we know actually represent what we want them to represent, that are actually on Trump's side and on our side. 13. That's it. And then it went to a second ballot. Now it was just Rhino versus Rhino, Thune versus Cornyn. And Thune got 29. Cornyn got 24 votes. Cornyn increased by nine senators. Now, look, I don't like Thune. I don't trust Thune as far as I can throw him. The only thing I can say that's positive is it could have been even worse. Because a Cornyn is, oh, man. I mean, really, Dave, he's the Kamala Harris of the Republican Party. I mean, nothing between those ears. This guy would have been an unmitigated disaster. Thune is at least smart. I mean, he's like McConnell. He's devious. He's cunning. He's like, he's Machiavellian. He's shifty. You can't trust him, as I said, as far as you can throw him. But at least the guy's got a head on his shoulders. This guy, Cornyn, ay. So Thune spoke to Trump and apparently gave the president his word, gave the entire Republican caucus his word for what it's worth, that he's going to implement all of Trump's agenda and he's going to get through every single nomination. Well, the first person I'd ask today, if I was a reporter up on Capitol Hill, I would go straight to John Thune and ask him, are you voting for Gaetz? Yay or nay? Are you a yes or a no on Gaetz? Not a maybe, we'll see. No. Are you a yes or a no? And follow-up question, if you are a yes, are you going to urge every other Republican senator to vote for Gaetz? The president nominated him. The president got an overwhelming mandate. This is the president's pick. He deserves to get his pick. What say you, John Thune? And then we'll know whether he's serious or he's secretly trying to sabotage the president. Final word to you, my Thanksgiving buddy. Dave.
It could be worse, Jeff. McConnell didn't have to step down.
Oh, that's true. Dave, touché, as the French say. Dave, thank you very much for that call. Kay in Braintree, thanks for holding, Kay, and welcome.
I'm absolutely thrilled. I am so sick of people finding people guilty first before being innocent. They did this with Trump. He's innocent of everything. There's no proof of anything. And what's it got to do with running the United States of America? I'm thrilled that he's got Gaetz. There's been no proof of anything, and he's got the right to put together his administration. And those that are against it actually have to be the rhinos, and they're Democrats. We have spoken loud and clear, the American people. We trust in Trump. He will put us going forward. That's how I feel about his
I agree, Kay. Look, I agree. And look, everyone's going on. The liberal media is going on about this House Ethics Committee investigation. I mean, New York Times, front page today, Washington Post, front page, CNN, MSNBC, everybody. Oh, that's why he resigned. He's escaping the report from the House Ethics Committee investigation. No, he resigned because he's getting ready for the mother of all battles, to get himself confirmed. And look, these accusations against him have been around 5 years. 5 years. They were leaked to the media, the liberal media. They smeared him. They tried to ruin and destroy his reputation. It didn't work. There's no shred of evidence whatsoever. It's just anonymous allegations, innuendo. Now, after 5 years, if you can't prove that he slept with an underage girl at a party, or that he did drugs at the same party, which is what they've been alleging, then I'm sorry. I think the statute of limitations is now passed. I mean, that's what they do. They throw out garbage. They throw out a lie. They repeat the lie, and they don't let go of the lie. And that's why Matt Gaetz said, I know what lawfare is. They did it to me. Now, the DOJ kept investigating Gaetz. Gaetz has been under investigation for years. They have not been able to file a single charge. Now, I'm not talking about Kay. They've been investigating him for 3 months or 6 months or 9 months or even a year. They've been investigating him now for 4 years. Now, if you're being investigated for 4 years, either you have the evidence or you don't have the evidence. And after 4 years, if you have no evidence to press charges, it's bull. You know what I really want to say? It's bull crap. It's pure bull crap. And that's why Trump said, I'm picking. Look, I'll be honest. There are other outstanding. Look, if say, just okay, for the sake of argument, okay? They managed to derail Gaetz. Okay, the rhinos do what they always do, team up with the Democrats and cannibalize their own. There's Ken Paxton in Texas. He's the Texas AG, MAGA, a very smart man, tenacious man, determined man. He'd be great attorney general. Matt Whitaker, who was deputy AG under Trump, amazing attorney general. There's a deep bench. There are many others who are, could be a phenomenal attorney general. So, but the reason why Trump went with him and not with Paxton and not with Matt Whitaker, and there are others, but why I'm just mentioning those two, is because Gaetz said to him, buddy, Trump, Donald, I know exactly what you went through. They did it to me. Almost the same playbook. They did what they did to you, they did to me. I want to get the very same people that tried to destroy you because they tried to destroy me and my family. And Trump, being a businessman and being a smart man, said, you know what? He's got the fire in the belly. It's not theoretical for him. It's not intellectual for him. This is personal for him. And he's got the experience. He's a proven warrior. He's a fighter. He doesn't care what the media thinks about him. Doesn't care what Republicans think about him. Look how he took down Kevin McCarthy. He doesn't care. So Trump said, that's the kind of guy I need running the Attorney General office, running the Department of Justice. Remember, Trump said this. We're going to end the weaponization of government. We're going to end the weaponization of our legal system and the Department of Justice to go out and destroy one's political opponents. We're going to have the rule of law and equality under the law in this country again. And to me, that's why I think you need a MAGA warrior as AG. And that's exactly what Gaetz is. And you can tell by their reaction. They know he's serious as a heart attack. They go, oh no, this is not a BS attorney general. This is not Sessions or, Porterhouse Steak, Bill Barr, who's just going to, they just do nothing. They just do nothing and let the Democrats steamroll them. Oh no, this guy, you're going to see arrests. You're going to see prosecutions. People are going to go to jail. And that's why they're freaking out. Final word to you, Kay.
I want it. I want to see it. They've forgotten about all the things that Hillary did. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. And that's exactly what this is all the beginning of when Trump won against her. And he won. And her in Benghazi. How about Afghanistan with Biden and how he left the situation over there? They quickly don't want to talk about that anymore. That's how I feel about him. Put Gaetz in there. Get rid of them all. They need it.
Amen.
Put it in jail, prison.
Amen. Amen. Kay, thank you very much for that call. Okay, already, the Democrats are dead set against Gaetz. That goes without saying. Establishment Republican senators are coming out now signaling opposition to Gaetz. They're telling Trump, we're not going to support Gaetz. If this means World War III, let it be a political World War III. So, Larry messaged me on Messenger and made an absolutely brilliant point. He said, Jeff, have you noticed? Have you ever seen or heard the Democrats do this to their own? When was the last time you saw Democratic senators go on a political holy war against one of their own picks? I mean, yeah, they may have to vote against one of their picks, but that's only if there's like a bombshell expose of some scandal or crime or abuse of power where that nominee has lost all support. And they're like, oh, we just gotta vote against him or her. But the announcement was made last night, yesterday afternoon. And within 3 hours, by 7 o'clock last night, you had Republicans in the Senate, lining up, saying, oh, I'm not voting for him. Oh, no, I'm not voting for him. Oh, no. Only Republicans do this to fellow Republicans. And you ask why Republicans always lose? This is why they always lose. Thomas in Lexington. Thanks for holding, Thomas, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Very good. That Gaetz pick, I'm on cloud 9, Thomas.
Jeff, I'm for Matt Gaetz. And what I don't understand, remember the Buttigieg pick? I mean, no outrage there. I mean, you got guys like Adam Schiff. You got all these people running scared. I mean, I'm for this pick. I think it's a great pick. Now, what I wanted to ask you is, wasn't Matt Gaetz involved in a scuffle with, who was that, Thune or somebody when they got rid of McCarthy?
That was Mike Rogers, who, if you remember, tried to attack Gaetz on the floor. I mean, really, you got to look it up, Thomas. Just YouTube it. It's funny. Gaetz is sitting down. He's in a suit. He's well dressed. And he's just, waiting for the vote, minding his own business. And out of the blue, Mike Rogers, who is a big McCarthy shill, starts lunging at Gaetz. And he's got to be physically held back by 3 or 4 members of Congress. He was going to attack him right there, assault him right there on the floor of the House. That's what Gaetz has done to the rhinos and to the establishment globalists. That's why they can't stand him. To me, that's why we should support him. 720 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, according now to NBC News, and look, it's fake news. This is the lying, corrupt corporate media, but I normally don't take any stock in what they say. But on this, I do believe them. They are citing Republican lawmakers, senators, Republican senators, more establishment Republican senators, who in a closed-door meeting were so angry at the pick of Matt Gaetz that many of them said, quote unquote, oh my God, when they heard that Trump had just selected Gaetz to be his attorney general. And according to some of these Republican senators, this is what they told NBC News, quote, DC is freaking out, unquote. Now, to which Elon Musk replied on X to this story, quote, DC freaking out means we are over the target. That's my thought exactly. Exactly my thought. When I heard that, I'm like, if the swamp is freaking out, we found the right guy. That's the right guy. Agree, disagree. Veronica in Florida. Thanks for holding, Veronica, and welcome.
Champagne cork, because we are sending you our warrior, Jeff. Oh, my goodness. My phone blew up last night. I'm very political up here in the Panhandle, and this is a fabulous pick. And do not forget, in his primary, McCarthy's group spent $3 million trying to take him out. So pop the champagne. Our guy's coming for you, and he's going to clean house for America.
Veronica, I love Gaetz, and I love this pick, but I got to ask you, again, let me just play devil's advocate for a second. What do you say to the argument, I love him, you love him, I'm sure much of the audience loves him, MAGA loves him, but he doesn't have the votes? There's, what is it going to be, 53, 54, whatever the number is going to be, Republican senators. You've got already 3 or 4 minimum saying, Lisa Murkowski from Alaska has come out, and she's a rhino's rhino. She said, no way am I voting for him. Susan Collins, no way I'm voting for him. Several others have said, no way. So what do you say to the argument, Veronica? We don't have the votes. And if we don't have the votes, that means if we go forward, he'll crash and burn, he'll lose the nomination, and it'll be a public humiliation and blow both to Gaetz and to Trump. What say you?
I think Trump must know that this has been in the works for a while, and we're gonna get Gaetz through to the other side. Because what's really interesting too, because last night my phone blew up. His dad, who was the speaker in the Florida legislature, and he's been retired for a while, was just reelected in that area. And so everybody was asking me, well, who's going to be the next congressman? And all along, Gaetz, everybody was they were talking about him becoming our governor. And so maybe there's cards in play, because why did his daddy come back, who'd, been the speaker, to start over in our legislature as a freshman? Maybe it's because DeSantis is going to put him in there for Congress. Trump knows he has the votes. So maybe this plan is already set in stone. And he's a fighter. We've seen him in action in Congress. And all of these investigations, I think, because he's been a Trumper, they've gone after him. So I think the plan is there. Trump must know he has the votes, but like Elon, everybody's freaking out. So it is the right pick. Plus, he's young. He's a fighter. And he's out there. And the AG's job, I know he hasn't been supposedly a trial attorney, but you're the face of that office, and he will represent and fight for Americans every single day. I'm so excited. I was like popping champagne last night. So excited.
Veronica, a good friend of mine texted me, John, and I know John is still listening, and he said, Jeff, remember, stature, because that's the term they keep using now, that somehow Gaetz doesn't have the stature to be attorney general. See, Bill Barr had the stature. Sessions had the stature. Merrick Garland, the stature. Loretta Lynch or Eric Holder, the stature. Okay? And as my friend John texted me, he said, you know what stature means in D.C.? Stature equals swamp. When they say, quote unquote, stature, that means a hack. Yeah, one of us. Yep, team player. Yep. That's what they really mean. Veronica, this is what I think. Well, first of all, just so that you know, I can't wait for the confirmation hearings for Gaetz. You want to talk about roll out the popcorn and for me, the Diet Coke. Oh, to see him go toe to toe with so many of those senators, he will eat them alive. Gaetz will, debate circles around them. I would pay money, like pay-per-view, to see that. I think what we're going to have to do, Veronica, is I think Kuhner country, it's going to be a while. We're talking a couple months here. I think we're going to have to ring their phones off the hook. I think Kuhner country, and I think that's what Trump is going to be counting on, to say, I've got a mandate and I want everybody who voted for me, you give the Senate your calls, and you tell them we want Gaetz. And to every Republican, you vote against Gaetz, we primary you. It's really that simple. Hold the proverbial gun to their head, the political gun to their head. So it's fine. You want to play to the swamp? You want to vote against Gaetz? No problem. We guarantee you're going to get primaried. So I think, Veronica, we're going to have to get engaged. All of MAGA, all of Kuhner country, to put Gaetz over the finish line. And I'm willing to go to the mat for him. Veronica, thank you so much for that call, because you're right. Gaetz is a fighter. And for once, we're going to have a fighter for us in the DOJ. 7:32 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I kid you not. Now they're calling Matt Gaetz the Antichrist. It's just, sorry, I mean to laugh, but so Biden meets Trump yesterday. Okay? Now, for how many years was Biden calling Trump Hitler? The whole election, Trump, Kamala, the media, the liberal media. Hitler, Nazi, fascist, racist. Remember, he's a threat to democracy. That's it. If he wins, it's the end of America. It'll be the last election we ever have. It's the end of the Constitution. It's the rise of the Fourth Reich. Yesterday, there was Joey smiling ear to ear. I've never seen him so happy. In fact, many people were saying, literally on social media, it was everywhere. He was so giddy when he was around Trump. Did you see that? He's backslapping Trump. They're shaking hands. Really, it was like a love fest. Joey's going to Trump. I love you. Trump goes, no, I love you. And people were openly speculating. I think Biden voted for Trump. Like, really? Like, no, I'm serious. I think Joe Biden, legitimate, and Jill, because they hate Kamala, because she helped overthrow Joe Biden and overthrew him from the nomination, that they're saying, I bet you he voted for Trump. And I've never seen Joe Biden this happy. So he's shaking Trump's hand. He's backslapping him. Now, of course, behind closed doors, it was a 2-hour sales pitch for Ukraine. It's Ukraine, send them, billions and hundreds of billions, and you can't abandon Ukraine, and glory to Ukraine, and blah, 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 blah. So, he's still delivering for his client behind closed doors. But what was noticeable, and this is the point, what happened to Hitler? What happened to this is the last election? What happened to existential threat to democracy? You said it over and over and over again. Kamala said it over and over and over again. The Democratic Party said it over and over and over again. And now, all of a sudden, we're going to be fine. We'll get them next time. We got the midterms. Don't worry about it. Lies. It was all political rhetoric. It was all propaganda. It was all, I hate this word because it's the most overused word, but this time is the one time it's applicable. It was all gaslighting. We were all being played and manipulated and deceived. And you've got millions and millions of these Democrats, a la Bill in Sudbury, who, by the way, have you noticed Bill in Sudbury has not called since Trump won? Or Ben in North Andover, or Chris in Gloucester, or Frank in Gloucester? Have you noticed the Moonbats have all gone silent? All of a sudden now. Well, what happened? What happened to your resistance? What happened to Trump is Hitler? What happened to he's a Nazi? What happened to it's the end of democracy? Suddenly, no? You have nothing to say now? So they demonized Trump, vilified Trump, lied about Trump, and then when the election is over, come on in, Donald. Yep. So, it's fine now? You're going to give Hitler a nice, smooth transition? Hitler's your friend now? You're buddy with Hitler? You're backslapping Hitler? Listen now, just very quickly. Listen now to Joey. I mean, I'm telling you, it was funny. You're like, well, he's Hitler. He kept saying he's a threat to democracy, and all of a sudden, there's Biden and there's President-elect Trump. Roll cut 1, Mike.
Mr. President-elect and former President, thank you, Donald, congratulations. Thank you. And looking forward to having like we said, smooth transition. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need. And we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So, welcome back.
Thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's in many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate very much a transition that's so smooth. It'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Jim.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
They're friends. I mean, I'm telling you, this is incredible. Now, Trump was being very gracious, obviously. I mean, and he should be. I mean, for the sake of the American people, you don't want to start calling each other names and, get into a fist fight. So, yeah, but just, my point is, Biden is beaming. You can see how happy he is. And he just, again, as I said, he just let it be known to everybody. No, he's not Hitler. Of course he's not Hitler. If he was Hitler, you think we'd be giving him a smooth transition? I'd be patting him on the back, shaking his hand. Congratulations. You're back. Congratulations. We're going to give you the most smoothest transition possible. On Sunday, you can look it up. Biden was still partying, as they say here. Party. So he's partying in Rehoboth Beach. Okay? He's on his way to one of his SUVs. And one of the reporters shouts out, "Do you still think Trump is a threat to democracy?" And Joe Biden shakes his head. Like, no. Because, I'm seeing him on Wednesday. Well, there you go. There you go. Now Matt Gaetz is the Antichrist. So Trump was Hitler. Now you watch, okay? Until the confirmation hearings. Right up. Antichrist. He's the devil. They are going to crucify that man. And before I continue with Matt Gaetz, this is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Who do you think Joe Biden actually voted for? No, really, honestly, I want to ask all of you, Kuhner Country. When he went in and pulled that lever, when he went in to actually vote, who do you think he really actually voted for? A, Kamala Harris. B, Donald Trump. A, Harris. B, Trump. I swear to you, if I was to vote in this poll, B. Because it's his body language. It's the way he's like, Jill wears the red dress. Oh, Jill came over yesterday. I forgot to mention this. She came over with a letter for Melania. And then, with a kiss to Trump and nice to see you. And they rolled out the red carpet. And Joey, was he gracious? I gotta say, smiling, giddy. As Grace said, glowing, almost like he was pregnant. When a woman's pregnant, she's just glowing. She's so happy. This is like, you can see Biden and Jill had this twinkle in their eye. You got rid of the witch for us. She helped overthrow us and screw us. You know what? You paid her back. Good, Donald. Good. Wink, wink. Good for you. I honestly believe he voted for her. Sorry, my bad. That Biden voted for Trump. I honestly believe that Biden voted for Donald Trump. I would vote B, but that's me. I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in national ER. And as always, you can vote on X. I'm very active on X. My handle there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, Kuhn as in national ER. Let me just give you a taste of the meltdown. To me, this is great entertainment. Really, you can't get better entertainment than this. Here's Fetterman. Okay? Pennsylvania Senator Fetterman. Roll cut 14. Mike.
What do you think of all these Trump picks, including Matt Gaetz?
I put out a tweet about it. Clearly, it's just kind of like a God tier kind of trolling, just to trigger a meltdown. But really, the Dems' opinions on Gaetz, that's not really what's interesting. What to me is interesting is the good ones are gonna come by my colleagues on the other side, the GOP, on how they can justify voting for that jerk off.
Okay, here's Chris Murphy, Democrat senator from Connecticut. I don't have time, Mike. I don't have time. I don't want to rush it. We're going to play it on the other side and then take your calls. But anyway, he goes on, this is CNN. And Murphy is, how could he have picked him? Again, the sky is falling. But then he says, I've spoken to some of my rhino buddies over there. Some of these establishment Republicans, they're not happy. they really don't want Gaetz. Like, they're scared. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'd be scared too if I were them. By the way, Chris Swalwell, you know the guy who slept with that Chinese spy? You know, Bang Bang with Fang Fang. Her name was Fang Fang. He is now worried, now that Gaetz, if he becomes Attorney General, that Swalwell is going to go to jail for treason. For treason. They're running scared, my friends. We've got them on the run. 748 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, here it is. Here it comes. One after another. Full panic. Absolute. Just say Matt Gaetz. All right, so here it is. Senator Chris Murphy, he's a moonbat Democrat from Connecticut. On This Is CNN. Roll cut 15, a mic.
Senator, the breaking news, the pick of Congressman Matt Gaetz to be the next U.S. Attorney General. Your reaction?
Well, I was walking off the Senate floor just moments ago when the news was announced. You could literally hear the jaws dropping to the floor of Republican senators who are now going to be in a position to stand up to Donald Trump in a way that they have been unwilling to. I mean, listen, Matt Gaetz is dangerously unqualified, but that's not the worst of it. Gaetz has been Trump's chief defender when it comes to Trump's assault on democracy, his attempt to overthrow the government on January 6th, and he has openly called for the abolition of law enforcement agencies if they don't get in line with conservative political priorities. This is going to be a red alert moment for American democracy.
Here they go. Back to threat. They can't help themselves. Back to threat. You see, there was over. He's not a threat to democracy. Now he's a threat to democracy again. It's like a reflex instinct. They just can't. They can't help themselves. So, and by the way, again, where do they come up with this? Kamala Harris was the one that wanted to defund ICE. Kamala Harris is the one that said, let's reimagine policing. So it's the left that wanted to get rid of, prisons, police, ICE, the border. I mean, suddenly now, he's going to get rid of everything. He's just abolishing everything. So, okay, the BS continues. The lies continue. The propaganda continues. And this is a really good text. It's 70470. 70470, and it's from 508, and it really hits the nail right on the head. Jeff, the same people who think Matt Gaetz isn't qualified to be the next Attorney General were the ones who thought Kamala Harris was qualified to be president. Drop the mic, baby. All right, let me just play one more, and then I want to go back to the phone lines. This was Fox News. So MSNBC's losing their mind, CNN's losing their mind, and then they roll out Never Trumper after Never Trumper on Fox News, phone news. So here's Byron York. How could Trump have picked Matt Gaetz? I can't believe it. Brett, I'm on the phone with my Republican sources. They're in a panic. The establishment Republicans, Mitch McConnell's going crazy. Murkowski's going crazy. Collins is going crazy. Thune is going crazy. Cornyn's going crazy. They're all going crazy, Brett. Roll cut 16. Mike.
What the senator said can be true, and Matt Gaetz can still be a terrible pick. And I do think it was a terrible pick. And we don't know the status of the House Ethics Committee investigation into alleged misconduct. We do know the Justice Department investigated and didn't charge him with anything. But the thing we really know for a fact is that Matt Gaetz played a hugely aggressive role in nearly destroying the Republican Party in the House of Representatives, and with his based mostly on a personal vendetta against Kevin McCarthy, who was then the Speaker of the House. And, I mean, he's very lucky that the House has no role in confirmations, because, as Guy said, he's got enemies all over the place. And the reason he has those enemies was that the things he did were so damaging for no good reason.
Incredible. They're still going on about Kevin McCarthy. Really, a rhino's rhino. Nobody misses him. Not one, I'm telling you, not one Trump voter. Okay, all the votes for Donald Trump. And by the way, now it looks like he beat Kamala by 7 million, over 7 million votes. 7 million. 7 million. He destroyed her. This is a landslide. It was a political massacre. That's what this was. Not one. Okay, maybe one out of, what is it? How many? 70, 75 million, whatever he ended up getting. Okay, maybe one, maybe two out of 75 million. Okay, but you know what I mean. No one cares for Kevin McCarthy. Nobody. They're still going on about he derailed McCarthy. Yeah, good. Good. Yes, good. Now, I want to play for you. Bear with me. You want to know why they really fear Matt Gaetz? I could play 50 cuts. I'm not. I'm just going to play you 2. And this tells you everything you need to know. That's why he cannot be Attorney General in the eyes of the swamp, and in the eyes of Washington, and in the eyes of the political media class, okay? The political media establishment. Listen now to Gaetz. He's on the House Judiciary Committee. Merrick Garland was testifying. Listen now to Gaetz rip Garland apart over Matthew Colangelo, who is the number 3 at the DOJ, who clearly was sent by Garland because Colangelo leaves the DOJ, one of the most prestigious positions you can have, to go to New York, Manhattan, on a state case, to work with Alvin Bragg and Letitia James in order to get Trump on the hush money case with Stormy Daniels in front of Judge Merchan. So it was obvious. Merrick Garland, the Biden White House, the Department of Justice were coordinating, in fact, giving the orders to Letitia James and Alvin Bragg, lawfare. You're going to nail Trump to a cross. Persecute, persecute, persecute. And we're going to show you exactly how to do it. We're sending our top hatchet man, our top legal hitman, Matthew Colangelo. Listen now to Gaetz, the only one on the committee who had the guts to expose all of it. And you got to see the face of Garland. I wish you could. He's wilting, red as a tomato, and he's like jittery. You should see him. He's wilting because he knows Gaetz has him dead to rights. Roll cut 30, Mike.
Will the Department of Justice provide to the committee all documents, all correspondence between the department and Alvin Bragg's office and Fonnie Willis's office and Letitia James's office?
The offices you're referring to are independent offices of state.
I get that. I get that.
State.
The question is whether or not you will provide all of your documents and correspondence. That's the question. I don't need a history lesson.
Well, I'm going to say again, we do not control those offices. They make their own decisions.
The question is whether you communicate with them, not whether you control them. Do you communicate with them, and will you provide those communications?
You make a request, we'll refer it to our Office of Legislative Affairs.
But see, here's the thing. You come in here and you lodge this attack that it's a conspiracy theory that there is coordinated lawfare against Trump. And then when we say, fine, just give us the documents, give us the correspondence, and then if it's a conspiracy theory, that will be evident. But when you say, well, we'll take your request, and then we'll sort of work it through the DOJ's accommodation process, then you're actually advancing the very dangerous conspiracy theory that you're concerned about.
Garland had no answer. He had no answer. And by the way, Gaetz has said he's going to release all the documents showing that Merrick Garland, illegal, this was all illegal, illegally coordinated with Bragg, with Letitia James, and with that case, which you federal cannot coordinate with state to target a political opponent. These are massive crimes. Garland's going to go to jail. I'm telling you. Gaetz is going to nail him. And many, many others. Now, let me just play one more. This is him now to FBI Director Chris Wray, another snake, deep state snake, who, by the way, is going to lose his job. And it looks like, just a rumor, it's going to be Kash Patel. We'll see what happens. If it's Kash Patel, holy mackerel. I mean, this is, they're going to lay siege to the entire deep state. Okay? Kash Patel, and I'm popping champagne corks. All right? But let that go. It's Christopher Wray. And he's going after him now on Hunter Biden and the Biden crime family. And if you remember when Hunter sent that WhatsApp message to one of his Chinese business partners, and he openly threatens him, saying, I've got my father right beside me. That's my father. Joe Biden, right beside me. Now, you don't give us the millions of dollars that you promised. It was a shakedown. I'm telling you, my old man is going to go after you and your people, and he's going to make life miserable for you. And Matt Gaetz is saying, why aren't you investigating the Biden crime family? This is bribery. This is influence peddling. This is naked treason. I mean, we're talking about some of the biggest crimes imaginable. This is out and out sedition. And they're selling the country down the river to line their pockets. And we've got it on a WhatsApp message. Like, how much more evidence do you need? Listen now to Gaetz humiliate Wray by just reading him the WhatsApp message right to his face. Roll cut 31. A mic.
I'm sitting here with my father. I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father. Sounds like a shakedown, doesn't it, Director?
I'm not going to get into commenting on that.
You seem deeply uncurious about it, don't you? Almost suspiciously uncurious. Are you protecting the Bidens?
Absolutely not. The FBI does not and has no interest in
you won't answer the question about whether or not that's a shakedown, and everybody knows why you won't answer it. Because to the millions of people who will see this, they know it is. And your inability to acknowledge that is deeply revealing about you.
That's the hammer. Okay? What you just heard now, Matt Gaetz, that's the hammer of justice. Okay? That's why the swamp doesn't want him. I just played you 2 cuts. I could do 50. And you're like, geez, Jeff, he's going to go after all of them. He's the new sheriff in town. That's why Trump gave him the badge. That's why Trump gave him the white hat. That's why Trump gave him, I got to be careful because they want to take me off the air, gave him the legal 6-shooter, the pistol, the Cowboys, and he's got the gun, he's got the badge, and he's got the white hat. And let's take down all of these crooks and criminals. And that's why they're screeching like pigs. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Scott in Revere. Thanks for holding, Scott, and welcome.
Jeff, I love you. That's the way, my friend.
Right back at you, buddy. What's on your mind, Scott?
Oh, I'm a happy man today. Oh, Jeff, thank you very much for playing those cuts. Most people get impatient on the phone. Me, I'm loving every minute of those cuts. I really am. Because you know what it shows? And the American people already believe me, 7 million votes he won by. That isn't by an accident. People know these rhinos still don't get it, do they? The rhinos, the liberals, they're not getting the message. The message is, your party is over. Rhinos, beware. Liberals, look out. Because you know what? No more lawfare. You're done. You're going to jail. You deserve to go to jail. And you're all bent because you got caught. And you wouldn't mind, but these are the worst liars I've ever seen in my life.
Scott, I so agree with you. And look, we won, they lost. And they still don't quite get it. But don't worry, Scott. They're going to get it soon. Soon. As they say, it's coming. Justice is coming. And his name is Donald Trump and Matt Gaetz. Scott, thank you so much for that call. Derek in Brighton. Thanks for holding, Derek, and welcome.
I have a question.
Yes,
if J.D. Vance is the vice president, I think I heard you say that he, since he's the vice president, he is the president of the Senate?
Yes. But when he's inaugurated, not now, but when he's on January 20th, he will be the the president of the Senate.
Now, if the rhinos don't vote down not to confirm Matt Gaetz, can't he, as president of the Senate, can't J.D. Vance do an end run around them? Does he have some influence to make him, or I don't know the word, to make, to confirm Matt Gaetz or something?
Well, Derek, if, let's just say, okay, let's just play this out. Say Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins and Cornyn and, all these clowns, okay, they come out and say, no, we're not going to vote for Gaetz. We don't care how many phone calls, how many times you tell us you're going to primary us. We're just not going to vote for this guy. And so J.D. Vance is the guy that would go to Trump and say, look, Mr. President, let me just make up a number. There's only 48 votes in the Senate for Gaetz. So 52 against, 48 for. We can't get him across the finish line. He's going to lose. So what Trump then can do, not J.D. Vance, Trump can do this. Trump can go to John Thune, and Thune has promised him he'll do this, and say, make a recess appointment. In other words, when Congress is not in session, and it's often not in session, all you need is the Senate Majority Leader and one other senator to say, yes, during this recess appointment, we will nominate and confirm Gaetz to be the next Attorney General. Now, the drawback with a recess appointment is it's temporary. It's only good for like 6 months or a year. And if you want, then you have to do it again. Now, in theory, they could do recess appointment of Gaetz and recess appointment for 4 years. The problem is, after a while, say after the first recess appointment or the second recess appointment, Gaetz's enemies will say, well, he wasn't confirmed by the Senate. It was a recess appointment. So they're going to claim that he lacks legitimacy. So you can do it in the short term. It's harder to maintain it in the mid to long term. But the short answer to your question is, Derek, if they don't have the votes for Gaetz and Trump is determined to have Gaetz be his AG, they can and they will do it through recess appointment, which means you're going to get Gaetz at least for a year as Attorney General. You may get him for all 4, but it'd have to be constant recess appointments. Does that make any sense?
Perfect sense.
And I think, honestly, we're going to see how serious Trump is about Gaetz. I think he's very serious, but because there are a lot of people speculating, saying, well, maybe Trump's playing, 5-dimensional chess. You put up Gaetz, knowing Gaetz is going to lose. That'll force DeSantis to install Gaetz as the senator to replace Marco Rubio, who's going to be, Secretary of State. So that Senate seat opens up. And then Trump can put forward, say, Ken Paxton from Texas or Matt Whitaker, somebody that he really wanted all along. That's some of the conspiracy theories. So we'll find out whether Gaetz is just a stalking horse and Trump is playing 5D chess. In other words, I want to get my guy out of the House and put him in the Senate because he needs as much help in the Senate as possible, or he really wants him as AG. My prediction, I could be wrong. I have no inside knowledge, Derek. I'm just calling it the way I see it. I think Trump's going to say recess appointment. I think Trump, that's the number one guy he wants as his AG. I mean, the other ones are excellent picks, but I think Trump, he's going for gold. as I said on X yesterday, what the pick of Gaetz signifies is Trump is now saying, I am going for the throat of the deep state. I'm playing to win. I'm going for the jugular. And I think that's why he picked Matt Gaetz. The others are excellent. They're very, very good picks. But Gaetz he's a warrior. Gaetz is he's all or nothing. That's the kind of guy Gaetz is. And I think Trump, he's like, basically, as I said, he's my Patton. He's my General Patton. I know he's got flaws. I know he's a prima donna. I know he can be a bit of a bomb thrower and a little mercurial, as they say, but this guy's a killer, and I need a killer. And I think that's why he went with Gaetz. And I think he's going to stick with Gaetz, and I think if he doesn't have the votes, he's going to go through a recess appointment. But I could be wrong. Derek, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. Nick in Weymouth, thanks for holding, Nick, and welcome.
How you doing, Jeff?
Good. How are you, Nick?
I'm doing great, thank you. FISA 702 renewal. If you can do this, let me know. Try and find out the people who actually voted against it. A combination of Democrats and Republicans, by the way, 60 to 34. For the life of me, I can't find out who. However, I know who sponsored it. Okay. What I'm getting at is whoever was against the renewal of FISA, those are the only decent senators we have. As we peel the onion here, Trump's got the House, he's got the Senate, he's the president. There's still evil, still lurks. It's in the Senate. Nothing gets ever passed in this country unless it's approved by the Senate, right? Now, why would they want to renew that? They saw what it did. By the way, that was put in during the Carter administration, Section 702. And McConnell, when he was haunching, no, we got to have this. All the intelligence said, we got to have this. And he says, remember 9/11? 9/11? That came a long time after 1978, okay? So, no, that thing did nothing to protect us in 9/11. So what I'm saying is, any senators that are for that are bad senators. They're bought and paid for. That is why, by the way, no senator should ever be an attorney general. I don't care how much Mike Lee is a good pal of Trump, because the Senate is compromised. And you're right, we haven't had any good attorney generals. Garland should have been hammered. Mike Johnson saved him. Luna was going for the second hit when he wouldn't release those documents from the mighty investigation of Biden by that special investigator, Herr. And he wouldn't release the audio. If you remember, I hope we get that too, by the way. So he was an inch away from having a second vote on the inherent contempt, which would have put him in jail, right, indefinitely, the fine of about a fine of $10,000 a day till he coughed up that information. He was no good. Do you remember, Jeff? And I'll get off. Any decent attorney general without a solid attorney general, and it isn't a matter of loyalty to Trump. It's a matter of loyalty to the United States, for God's sake.
I agree. I completely agree with you. No, Nick, look, you got to go back all the way to Ronald Reagan. Really, Reagan had some excellent attorneys general, forgive me. He had a couple of excellent attorneys general. He did. Excellent AGs. But, I made the list in my opening monologue. Just stand back, please, everybody, objectively. Democrat, Republican administrations. Janet Reno? Alberto Gonzalez? I just think about this. Eric Holder? Loretta Lynch? Jeff Sessions? Bill Barr? And now this clown, Merrick Garland? It's been one corrupt, disastrous attorney general after another. They're all corrupt crooks. Finally, you got an honest, straight shooter, and Washington is melting down. That tells you everything you need to know. 8:20 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, President Trump. Oh, man, does he go for it? He nominates congressman. Well, actually, he's no longer a congressman. He actually resigned yesterday after the news came out. He now nominates former Congressman Matt Gaetz to be his next attorney general. sending shockwaves throughout Washington. Good pick, bad pick. So far, not one of you has called in to tell the Kuhner man you don't like the pick of Matt Gaetz. And I really would like to hear from somebody in Kuhner country who doesn't like the idea of Gaetz for whatever reason. I am getting some text messages from some of you. We say, Jeff, I voted for Trump, love Trump, like most of his picks for cabinet. I don't like Gaetz. And what I'm hearing from some of you, and it's a small minority, but still I want to hear from you, is Jeff, he's a bomb thrower. He's crazy. Some of you have actually said that. Jeff, the guy's not right in the head. He's too mercurial, too unpredictable, too volatile. He makes too many enemies. He's not serious. He's more interested in performance, political performance art and political theater than he is in actually being a serious attorney general. And that in the end, this pick is going to blow up in Trump's face. So some of you, a few of you are saying you don't like the pick of Gaetz. So I'd love to hear from you if you don't like him. If you like him, I want to hear from you as well. And what do you make now of the overwhelming, really rabid, ferocious opposition from the entire media political establishment? The swamp is dead set against Gaetz to the point now that, forget Democrats, many Republican senators have come out and said, we're not voting for this guy. So is this a fool's errand by Trump to put up a nominee that may not even have the votes? Or do you think Trump can get him across the finish line? And should he expend political capital? Because that's what it's going to take. A lot of political capital to get Gaetz in as his attorney general. Russ in Boston. Thanks for holding, Russ, and welcome.
Jeff, I love Matt Gaetz in a non-sexual way. Let's face it. If the rhinos and the Democrats are running scared, we patriotic Americans must go to the mat with Matt Gaetz, without question. Now, as far as Bill from Sudbury is concerned and his comrades, they cannot call. They are in rehab. After doubling down on the meds, they are under observation. They may not call for several months.
Russ, have you ever, we know what they did to Trump, and we understand that their reaction to him was insane. There's no other way to put it. It was what we saw, it was madness. What we've seen now for the last 8-9 years has been madness. The last year in particular was something you would think only in a lunatic asylum. But what do you make of this unhinged response against Gaetz? People are swearing on air. They're yelling. They're screaming. They're stomping their feet. I've never seen anything like this. They're behaving like children who are just throwing now the mother of all tantrums. Are you surprised at this kind of ferocious, intractable, overwhelming, almost borderline insane opposition to Matt Gaetz?
I'd be panicking too. So I love this and I enjoy. And you know what I cannot wait for? I cannot wait when President Trump, like President Ronald Reagan, addresses the nation from the Oval Office, lays out a plan, and the American people, the phones will be ringing off the hooks for Reagan to get what he wants. And what's interesting about this, okay, if you notice, the tide really turned after President Reagan was shot, and they saw his resiliency, and you saw him from his hospital bed, and everything else. He was just an amazing person. Trump is the same kind of person. Trump is going to do the same thing, and I cannot wait for these addresses from the Oval Office to say, screw the rhinos, screw the Democrats, and all the enemies within this country. God bless America, Jeff. Believe me when I say this, my hopes and dreams are going to become a reality.
It really is. It's morning again in America, where you can see it now. And Trump vowed a golden age for America. should he win, and we're now on the cusp of that golden age. Russ, as always, thank you for your service, and thank you for your call. 617-266-6868. Okay, I don't want to rush Rob in North Andover. I'm going to get him on the other side. Look, just very quickly, I think Russ is right. They're panicking, and it's a logical response. It seems irrational to us. But if you've committed the crimes that they've committed and has been as corrupt as they've been and gotten away with it in the shadows for as long as they have, I would be petrified of Matt Gaetz as well. If I were in their shoes, I'd be yelling, screaming, hollering, threatening, calling him a Hitler, the Antichrist. So what that means is, as Elon Musk put it, we're right over the target. All we got to do now is see if we can put Gaetz over the top. 617-266-6868. More calls next. 8:32 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. You can also text us 70470, 70470. Okay, my friends, as I've been saying all morning, Trump now goes for the deep state's political throat. Tulsi Gabbard was named yesterday as the head of the Director of National Intelligence. John Ratcliffe, just before, was named as the new CIA director, one after another. And of course now, Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz has now been named as Trump's nominee, his pick, to be the next Attorney General. This is from 508. You can text us 70470, 70470. Jeff, we had it all wrong. Trump isn't Hitler. Matt Gaetz is Hitler. How could we have missed it? Ha 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 ha. I know, I'm with you, 508. What the hell was wrong with us? Okay, I gotta tell you, holy mackerel. So listen now to this. This is from 917. Jeff, crying Adam Kinzinger on CNN has just blasted Trump's picks of Matt Gaetz and Tulsi Gabbard. That's how we know these were top-tier choices by Trump. Well, that's the other thing. When you've got these insane, treasonous rhinos and all these Democrats losing their minds, I'm like, if our enemies hate him that much, I think it's a brilliant pick. Okay. Anyway, this is a really good one. This is from 202. Jeff, Matt Gaetz is not qualified to be the next Attorney General? ? The Democrats literally nominated a Supreme Court justice based on her skin color and gender. And she was confirmed. Confirm Matt Gaetz. That's a very good point. Very good point, 202. Okay, this is from 617. Jeff, you were completely right about the rhinos. Senator Lindsey Graham has now come out and said he will not commit to approving Matt Gaetz as President Trump's Attorney General, but this uniparty rhino voted to approve Merrick Garland. See, that's what I'm saying. That tells you everything you need to know. So a guy like, lay down and love me, Lindsey. Okay, the rhino's rhino. Always laying down with Democrats. Always. That's all he does is lay down with Democrats. Over and over again. This guy, Merrick Garland, no problem. We confirm. Go ahead. Persecute my people. Go after Trump. Frame him. Persecute him. Jail him. Go after his political opponents. Hey, I vote for you all day, all night. Matt Gaetz, we're going to restore justice, integrity, honesty, transparency to the Department of Justice. We're going to go after real criminals who've committed real crimes. I can't commit to this guy. This guy. Oh, my God. He's a flamethrower. This guy. He's an unguided missile. We can't have this guy in there. You phony, you fraud, you. Okay, this is from Eric, last one. Eric on Messenger, and I think Eric makes a really, really good point about John Thune and whether Thune will do what needs to be done to make sure that Gaetz becomes the next Attorney General, even if it means a recess appointment. Jeff, I am sure Trump had those conversations with John Thune at Mar-a-Lago. I will not obstruct or stand in the way of your election as majority leader, but I want Gaetz. I could see Trump making that kind of deal. Because the one thing that was kind of odd to people is, why did Trump not weigh in on behalf of Rick Scott publicly? He was basically Switzerland on that vote yesterday. And had he weighed in publicly and really leaned on these senators, that vote could have been very different. Thune ended up winning. He's now going to be the Senate Majority Leader. Rick Scott ended up finishing third. So people were a little, because, Musk went public on behalf of Rick Scott, Tucker Carlson. Of course, I did. Kuhner Country did. Trump was neutral. He was Switzerland. And maybe he said, you know what? I got to make a deal. And if the deal is, I'll say nothing, which means, Thune, you're going to win. But you got to make sure you guide my guy over the finish line. So we shall see. I hope Eric is right. I'm praying Eric is right. Rob in North Andover. Thanks for holding, Rob, and welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
Very good. How are you, Rob?
I couldn't be better. Congratulations to Kuhner Country.
Thank you.
Matt Gaetz, Gaetz, incredibly shocking. I couldn't be happier. Trump's going for the jugular vein. My only concern is we got to get a wellness check out to Harris. We haven't seen her in a while. We got to get someone over there to see how she's doing. Pete Hegseth, absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. And where's Bill, Ben, and Chris? Where are they hiding? Where are those guys hiding? I miss listening to their stupidity on air. But I just want to congratulate you. Great job, and the country's going in the right direction. I couldn't be happier.
Amen. Rob, I love his picks. The only one that I'm a little squeamish on is Rubio. I love Tom Homan. I love Tulsi Gabbard at DNI. Everything. I mean, all of his picks, I have to say. Susie Wiles as chief of staff, Stephen Miller as deputy chief of staff, Kristi Noem at DHS. I think we should abolish DHS, but she's an okay pick. Not great, but certainly not a bad pick. So you run down all of his picks. I'm very happy. To me, Matt Gaetz is a home run. If he can pull this thing off, it's a home run. So I look at many of his picks. And, Huckabee as our ambassador to Israel, Elise Stefanik, our ambassador to the United Nations. I mean, to me, it's been one outstanding pick after another. The only one Rubio to me is shifty. I don't trust Rubio. I know he's smart. He's articulate. He campaigned very hard for Trump. He certainly knows foreign policy. That no doubt about it. I just don't know if I can fully trust him. That's the only one I'm a little uncertain of. But outside of that, this is an all-star cabinet. All-star cabinet. Could not be happier. Rob, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. Let's go to Jeff, Mark in Milton. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. A tremendous roster of picks. Although, I'll be honest, I'm a little hesitant about the Matt Gaetz.
Okay.
But I'm going to throw this huge caveat in. Let's have new Senator Adam Schiff present all the evidence that he was on TV about, on talk shows about. Let's have him present all that evidence that he talked about. So, about Trump and Russia collusion. Because that's what they're going to come up with about Matt Gaetz, right?
Well, Mark, that's a great point. That's a great point. Mark, I'm just curious, because I do want to hear from people who are uneasy about Gaetz, because I always want to make sure Kuhner country is always well represented and everybody gets their point of view across. You said you have some misgivings about Gaetz. What are they?
Too much off the cuff, too much. I mean, I know that he will, and he may be the perfect choice, because I guess what's needed throughout the entire Department of Justice is either a plumber or a vacuum. I'm not sure which way it goes. To get these less than American people out of there. And he may be. He just strikes me as a little off.
A loose cannon, right? Basically, he's a loose cannon.
A loose cannon, yeah.
And you're saying you don't need that and you don't want that as your attorney general, correct?
Right. I do think that somebody in that position, if Bill Barr would have done his job, he could have been a tremendous attorney general, and he actually did do some good things. But, just like Mike Pence, when the rubber hit the road, they melted.
Well, that's why, Mark, that's why, to be honest, a lot of people wanted either Ken Paxton, who's now, who's Texas's attorney general, or Matt Whitaker, former deputy acting attorney general. Think Bill Barr, in other words, very smart, very brainy, very sober, but loyal to Trump. And anyway, we may end up getting them. We'll see what happens. 8:50 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. 617-266-6868 is the number. To see these liberals melt down like this, again, there's no other phrase, freak out. They're just freaking out over every Trump pick. They're freaking out over Tom Homan. They're freaking out over Tulsi Gabbard. They're freaking out over RFK as potential health czar. They're freaking out now, obviously, over Matt Gaetz. Every pick, they're losing their mind. It's just roll out that popcorn, baby. So, just very, very quick, because we got a couple calls I want to go to. But let me throw this log on the fire, as I like to say. Pete Hegseth is now Trump's pick to be the next Secretary of Defense. Another pick outside the box, very much like Matt Gaetz and others. Now, he's not part of the swamp, which is, again, why they hate him so much. He is not part of the Washington elite or a member of the military-industrial complex or someone who is in the upper ranks of the military. And I want you to listen to this, okay? This was Chief Spreading Bull, Pocahontas Elizabeth Warren, okay, Granny Warren. She's now on the warpath against Pete Hegseth, saying that he is unqualified to be Secretary of Defense. You see, Lloyd Austin, who, by the way, was a lobbyist for a defense contractor. I'm telling you, Lloyd Austin was a lobbyist for a defense contractor. That useless affirmative action Secretary of Defense. The guy who went AWOL, went MIA when he got sick and just abandoned his post. And we're like, where's the Secretary of Defense? He's in the hospital? And he didn't tell anybody? He and Milley, the geniuses behind the Afghanistan debacle. That, no problem. Completely qualified. Quote, the stature to do the job. Now, listen, this is what she said on X. Quote, and notice the dig, okay? She mentions that he's a weekend, not a host, but a co-host, but on the weekends. On the weekends. Quote, a Fox and Friends weekend co-host is not qualified to be the Secretary of Defense. I lead the Senate Military Personnel Panel. Ooh. In other words, like, I have the qualifications to speak on this. Well, why, Chief? Did you ever serve? No, but I lead the Senate Military Personnel Panel. All 3 of my brothers served in uniform, but you didn't. Who cares? She continues, I respect every one of our service members. Donald Trump's pick will make us less safe and must be rejected. Shut up. Like, seriously, shut up. Chief, shut up and sit down, okay? Go smoke a peace pipe, okay, Chief? Now, notice what she leaves out. According to her, this is what liberals do all the time. This is their modus operandi, okay, their MO. The lying, the slandering, the propaganda, the half-truths. He's a weekend co-host. Like, basically, he has a pretty boy face on Saturday and Sunday morning. That's why Trump picked him. You phony, you fraud, you. 20-year military veteran. 20 years. Served multiple tours of duty. Guantanamo Bay, Afghanistan, Iraq. In the fight, as they say. Literally, in the fight. Was with the troops on the ground. Literally put his life on the line for our country. Not once, not twice, multiple tours of duty. Won several Bronze Stars. The man's a decorated war veteran, for God's sake. An Army veteran who fought for our country in multiple fields of battle, multiple battlefields all over the country. Sorry, all over the world. My bad. For our country. And on top of that, since they're all into these, qualifications, quote unquote, a graduate of Princeton University, a graduate of Harvard University, who's written multiple best-selling books on the military. And in particular, and honestly, I think this is why Trump picked him. I think it was his last book, which was a bestseller. But the point is, it's not that it's a bestseller, which obviously is important. But what's really important is it's about wokeness in the military and how the woke ideology and woke agenda, especially that being peddled by the retired chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Mark Milley, and people like Lloyd Austin and Joe Biden, have destroyed and decimated the United States military. And he cites example after example of fighting men being told that they have to wear dresses and put on lipstick and wear bras to identify what it's like to be a woman and to identify what it's like to be transgender. Given handbooks about anti-white racism that every member has to read about how white people are inherently racist and how America is an inherently evil, racist country. This is the garbage, the Marxist propaganda that the Biden-Harris regime, led by the Joint Chiefs, led by Milley, led by these current generals, and led by Austin. This is what they've done to our military. And as Pete Hegseth points out repeatedly, not just on the air, not just in columns, but in his books, what do you think that has done? It has devastated, decimated the greatest fighting force in the world. We now are not hitting our recruitment benchmarks. Recruitment is way down. People don't want to serve. And that's in every single one of our services. It's not just one or two. The Marines, Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, you name it. And as Pete Hegseth points out, we have depleted so much of our military arsenal to glory to Ukraine and countries all over the world. Do you know, this is according to the Biden regime. This is not Pete Hegseth's opinion. This is the official opinion of the military leadership of the Biden administration. This is their official statement and facts that they have revealed to the public. In public war games between the U.S. military and the Chinese military, this should scare everybody. The United States loses to China in every military game, every war game. We lose to communist China, and we lose within 3 to 4 weeks. According to Biden's own leadership, his own military generals. They say if we went to war with China, the Chinese would eat our lunch in a month. In a month. We don't have the fighting force. We don't have the recruits. Most importantly, we don't have the weapons. Anti-ship missiles, we'd run out of them in days. Literally days. Other important missiles that you need to fight a war against China, gone, depleted, finished. The shelves would be bare in 2 to 3 weeks. We literally have drained and depleted, bankrupted our military as we've sent everything we have to Ukraine and countries all over the world. There's nothing left to defend the United States. And Pete Hegseth is saying, this has got to stop. It's exactly these generals, beholden to the military-industrial complex, beholden to the establishment, beholden to the old guard and the status quo, that is driving the United States right into the ground. And so, as Hegseth told Trump, we got to de-wokeify the military. That's like priority numero uno. Before we do anything else. We can't have fighting men wearing dresses and lipstick. We can't have people with sex change operations and they don't know if they're a man or a woman and they're entering the military so they can get gender reassignment surgery. And by the way, then not fight for 18 months as they're transitioning from either a woman to a man or a man to a woman, $50,000 each person that we, the taxpayers, are footing. And Hegseth is saying, you want to get recruitment up? You want to get people who are enthusiastic and want to serve their country again? De-wokeify the military and get rid of the entire military leadership because nobody will follow losers like Milley. That's why he picked Pete Hegseth. Now, but he's not a general. He's not a senior military commander. Well, he's got a middle rank, so he's not just, a grunt. But even if he was a grunt, he understands the needs, the interests, the aspirations of our fighting men and women on the ground. Who speaks for them? Look at these generals that they keep giving us over and what war has Milley ever won? What war has Austin won? Mattis, what war has he won? This is Trump's point. He goes, all these generals they gave me, they can't win me a war. They couldn't win Afghanistan. They couldn't win Iraq. No matter where I send them. And they come up with the most unforgivable plan. We're going to surrender Afghanistan to the Taliban. We're going to hand over billions of our most sophisticated equipment. Billions that we no longer have because we just gave it away to the Taliban who gave it to communist China and Russia. And we're going to give them Bagram Air Base. And when we leave Afghanistan, we're going to leave with the soldiers first and the civilians last. Duh. And we're going to let suicide bombers just attack our troops mercilessly, leading to 13 Marines being slaughtered, blown up at Kabul airport. And as Pete Hegseth told Trump, has anyone been fired? I'm not talking court-martialed. I'm not talking going to jail. Just simply reprimanded and losing their job. Has any military person behind that or civilian lost their job or been publicly reprimanded? Not one. So Trump said, you know what? How about I get a real soldier who knows what fighting terrorism is, who understands the needs and aspirations of ordinary fighting men and women, who's a patriot, who doesn't want to lose wars but win wars, and who understands you can't win with a woke military, period, full stop. And as Hegseth said, We got to spend the next year to 2 years rebuilding our military. So when we start doing war games against China, this is a radical concept. We win. We win. Don't give everything to Ukraine or other countries. Protect America and Americans and the American military. And make us the number one fighting force again. That's why he picked Pete Hegseth. And so again, he doesn't have, like Gaetz, it's the same argument. He doesn't have the quote-unquote stature. Good. Good. Meaning he's not part of the swamp. Good. He's a patriot who is loyal to Trump, but most importantly, he's loyal to the men and women of our military and to the United States of America. And I'm telling you, mark my words, he's going to be better than Don Rumsfeld. Remember that hack under Bush who came up with that war in Iraq with no strategy for victory, no exit plan, no nothing? He's going to be infinitely better than any of these failed secretaries of defense. I could list you name after name after name. Many of whom now are, making millions of dollars as consultants and lobbyists. Whether it be under Obama, whether it be under Biden, Lloyd Austin being the big one, but frankly, even under Trump, Mattis, defense secretary, I wasn't impressed with Mattis. What did Mattis do for us? Nothing. I mean, he's got a big mouth, but outside of having a big mouth, as Trump said, he didn't smash ISIS. I did. He didn't give us victory in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything. He vowed to Trump, give me 1 year, I will give you Afghanistan on a silver platter. Trump came back to him after 1 year and he goes, things are worse now than they were before. And everybody's got an excuse. And Trump said, well, with the rules of engagement that you, Mattis, have agreed to, no fighting force can win. None. So we can't shoot at night. We can't shoot at civilians. We can't, certain areas are no-go zones. We can't follow them into Pakistan. So you tell me, how do we win? Pete Hegseth is going to be an outstanding Secretary of Defense. Just like Matt Gaetz is going to be an outstanding Attorney General. Just like Tom Homan is going to be an outstanding border czar. Just like Tulsi Gabbard, another patriot, longtime military veteran, who, by the way, is still in the National Guard, is going to be an incredible director of national intelligence. You know why? Because she's not there to line her pockets or to serve her globalist paymasters or to serve the swamp or the bureaucracy. She's there to serve you and me. And notice, every outsider, every patriot suddenly is verboten. Homan, verboten. Mike Waltz as National Security Advisor, verboten. Gabbard, Tulsi Gabbard, verboten. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., not beholden to Big Pharma and the medical establishment, verboten. Matt Gaetz, verboten. Forbidden. Trump, I believe. Now, he's still got more picks, so I don't want to make a final pronouncement. But as things stand right now, he is putting together one of the best, if not the best cabinet in American history. It's an all-star cabinet. Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, the Department of Governmental Efficiency. If they just do half of what they aim to do, I'm telling just half, they will revolutionize federal bureaucracy. They will revolutionize government. They will save the taxpayer trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. We are on the verge of a golden age. And we have to now, to achieve that golden age, we now have to consign the swamp, sweep the swamp, into the dustbin of history. And that's why Trump now understands. You want to defeat and destroy the swamp? Don't hire from the swamp. Hire outside the swamp. Personnel, as they say, is policy. And that's why I'm telling you, this term, this second term, the first term of Trump was great. This second term is going to be historic. Patrick in New York. Thanks for holding, Patrick, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Let me say I think Pete Hegseth is a questionable choice.
Okay, why?
He sounds great, but he looks, when I look at his resume, I see Mark Espers, who was Trump's last Secretary of Defense. He was he also won Bronze Stars. He was also a mid-level officer. But when he got into office, and Trump needed some guy that could command the generals, he couldn't do it. When the riots were breaking out all over the country, and Mark Espers.
Patrick, we lost you. Was that on our end or his end? His end. Patrick, please call back because I don't want you to think we cut you off. That Patrick's phone just died. I want to give him a chance to make his case against Pete Hegseth. So please, Patrick, call back. We'll put you on right away. Okay, I promise. Okay, but let me just quickly summarize. So Patrick in New York says Hegseth is a bad pick, like Trump's last defense secretary. That he was a mid-level guy, maybe a patriot, loyal to the country, good man. But he can't get the respect of the generals. And if you don't get the respect of the generals, you can't run the Pentagon. And in the end, the Pentagon is going to eat him alive because he doesn't have the weight, the gravitas, the seniority in order to do it. Do you agree with that criticism? Is Hegseth the wrong guy for the job? Many Republicans are saying they'd rather see him as, say, Secretary of Veterans Affairs, but not Secretary of Defense, that the job is just above Hegseth's ability and resume. Do you agree? As you know, I disagree, but I want to hear from you. Jack in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Jack, and welcome.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you, Jack?
I am. You have to pinch me because this last week has been a dream, and just a dream team that he is putting together, including Matt Gaetz. I never would have thought that he could. Let's pray that they all fly through confirmation. And I have two more. I want Charlie Kirk for the Secretary of Education and the My Pillow guy for the Surgeon General. If that happens, then we got a complete team.
So, Jack, I take it you're happy with Hegseth and you're happy with Gaetz.
Yeah, Hegseth is probably my favorite, just because he's a true patriot and he's not afraid to speak his mind.
Oh, I agree. And I think he's going to kick these generals around. In fact, look, Trump is going to set up a board to review most of Biden's generals that he currently has. And my advice to Trump is, and I'm sure Hegseth agrees, you're fired. It's time to get new leadership at the top of our military. 920 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Okay, Donald Trump on the political warpath, baby. He is putting together a dream team of a cabinet, and he has now thrown down the gauntlet to the establishment, to the regime, not just the Democrats, but the rhinos, but especially to the deep state. Your days are coming to an end. 617-266-6868. Okay, we reestablished contact with Patrick in New York. Patrick, our apologies. We lost contact with you. So just to sum up quickly what you said, you're not a big fan, obviously, of Pete Hegseth being picked as the possible next defense secretary. You said he reminds you a lot of Mark Esper, Trump's last Secretary of Defense, a mid-rank guy in the military. Yes, great combat experience. Could not handle the Pentagon, could not handle the generals, didn't have the gravitas or the weight to really command these generals and get their respect. And then we lost you when you started to talk about the riots of 2020 in the wake of the death of George Floyd. That's when you dropped on us. So please, Patrick, pick up where you left off.
So, Mark Esper's, Donald Trump did want to use the active military, the not the National Guard, but the active military, to quell the riots in the summer of 2020. Mark Esper's, told the generals to do that, and they effectively talked him out of it because he didn't have what the military calls the command presence to move to convince them that they should do it. And I just want to leave the thought about the Secretary of Defense with respect to Pete Hegseth. He's a brave man. He's a good combat leader, but there's a tremendous difference between combat leadership and the administrative leadership that's required of the Secretary of Defense. The Secretary of Defense has to do worry about all that you just said about military readiness and recruiting goals but he also has to worry about things like can General Dynamics produce the Columbia class submarines on a timely basis so that we can fight the Chinese. With respect to Matt Gaetz. So
Patrick, 1 second. I'll let you get to Matt Gaetz, I promise. I just want to ask you, if you were Trump's consigliere, in other words, if you were his top advisor, and he said, Patrick, you don't like Hegseth, who should I pick? Who would you have gone with?
I would given him the phone number to Tallahassee. There is one man. There is one
DeSantis.
man. There is one man in this country that is aligned completely with Donald Trump's ideology, that has the administrative abilities to move any of these big federal agencies, and that's Ron DeSantis.
Interesting.
I mean, he comes from a military perspective. He too won a Bronze Star. He too, left the Navy as a mid-level officer. He was a lieutenant commander. But he went into a career path which gave him a resume that showed that he could move massive, in this case, state agencies to his will.
Interesting. Wow, Patrick, I didn't think of that. That's a very interesting pick.
The choice isn't between Hegseth and the swamp, but we need a guy who's not just willful but cunning.
Yeah, I get it. You're saying there's even someone who is more qualified and better than Hegseth. Interesting. Patrick, okay, quickly on Gaetz. What do you think of Gaetz?
I think that choice is indefensible. Hegseth you could defend because he said the right things. Matt Gaetz is indefensible. I mean, from a professional perspective, he's going into a prosecutorial organization with never been a prosecutor or a defense lawyer for that matter. But also his personal life has been a complete mess. I mean, he was not indicted of a felony, but he was actively having sex with a 17-year-old as a 38-year-old member of Congress. And the FBI has all this. I think when Matt Gaetz goes to if he goes to the Senate, he's going to lose at least five Republicans. Susan Collins is not going to want to go to. She runs in 2026. She won by 1 point last time. She is not going to want to go to back home to a blue state where she has to run on defending a vote where she voted to confirm a man who was showing naked pictures of his girlfriends on the floor of the House. And all of that will come up.
Now, Patrick, I mean, that's what they accuse him of. I mean, is there any evidence that he actually showed naked pictures of a 17-year-old on the House?
His fellow congressman said it. I mean, it's all in that ethics file will be there. The FBI file will be there. Just because they didn't bring an indictment doesn't mean that they don't have, reams of information that will make him unconfirmable.
See, Patrick, I don't know if you're being too trusting of the media on this one. Look, you're obviously a very intelligent man. You make a very coherent argument, and I'm very happy that you called, and I completely respect your opinion. But look, that's statutory rape. If he's sleeping with a 17-year-old, that's statutory rape. And the Justice Department was looking to nail him on statutory rape. So if he's got naked pictures and he's bragging, I think they would have dropped the hammer and charged him. The fact that they didn't shows to me, Patrick, it's all smoke and no fire. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm just giving you my honest opinion. Thank you for that call, Patrick. 9:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. Okay, a couple lines are open if you want to jump on. 617-266-6868. This is from 617. He's a buddy of mine, served in Vietnam, Air Force, a great patriot, great Greek American, by the way. And he wanted to really relay this point, and I agree with him 1,000%. Jeff, the military, especially under Biden, has lowered standards to make quotas, especially physical and education standards. And then he goes on to say, and he goes, this is a really inconvenient truth. People don't want to hear this. And by the way, military people swear, so I got to clean up some of the swear words. But basically, every general above 1 star are all blanking political animals who, once identified by the quote-unquote club, say yes to the next star. Sad to say, but true. So basically, and he knows this better than I do, but I've heard so many vets tell me this. Any general above a 1 star is basically a politician, a bureaucrat who just rises the ladder of the military bureaucracy by saluting and brown-nosing the general above them. The 2-star general, then the 2-star general does that to the 3-star general, the 3-star general to the 4-star general. So really it's full of yes men and now yes women. And that's why nobody goes up against the status quo. Nobody has the guts to stand up for the troops. And that's why what you're really seeing are political animals. And that's why that's why they're part of the swamp. They're no different than most politicians on Capitol Hill. And I think that's why people like, Peter, who's the one who texted me, is like, we're for Pete Hegseth. We need an outsider. We need someone who's not a brown noser, who's not a climber, who's not part of the old club, the old guard. We need someone who's going to come in there and clean house. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. This is from Larry on Messenger, and he makes an excellent, excellent point regarding Matt Gaetz. Jeff, in Godfather Part 2, Michael Corleone told Tom Hagen, played by Robert Duvall, he wasn't going to Las Vegas with the family. And here's what he said to him. Tom, I love you like a brother, but I need a wartime consigliere because the family is going to war. And you aren't a wartime consigliere. Matt Gaetz is a wartime consigliere. I agree. And then Larry further makes the point, Jeff, if everything what Patrick in New York is saying is true, if they've got this file that the media keeps alleging they have on Gaetz, and they have him dead to rights, sleeping with a 17-year-old girl, using drugs at a party with a 17-year-old girl, having pictures naked of a 17-year-old girl and showing it on the floor of the House. He said, Jeff, they would have used it against him to save McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy, because that was scorched earth. The way the entire media establishment, the entire Republican establishment rallied around Kevin McCarthy, they would have used everything and anything to save his bacon. They wanted to take out Matt Gaetz. My God, they would have done anything to politically just, take his head off. If they had the evidence, they would have used it. These are smears. These are innuendo. all of it unproven, and it's been 4 years. And I think after 4 years, either fish or cut bait. And I think that's why Matt Gaetz told Trump, I want to be your guy as AG, because I know what it is to be the victim of lawfare. 617-266-6868. Just my opinion. Agree, disagree. Jill in Maine. Thanks for holding, Jill, and welcome.
Oh, good morning. It is a wonderful day. I'm actually calling from Marblehead because my family's here, so I listen to you when I'm here.
Yes, go ahead, Jill.
I was concerned about the Matt Gaetz thing because of all the allegations, but I'm hoping that it's true that they were allegations and unfounded. But isn't the age of consent 16 anyway, so wouldn't it not be statutory rape?
That's a good point. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what state. Yeah. I think it was in Florida. Yeah. I always thought it was 18, but you're right. In many states, it's 16, so technically it wouldn't be statutory rape. No, Jill, look, I can just tell you this with absolute certainty. The Biden's Department of Justice, and they've been hunting him for 4 years, have investigated him on this very issue now for 4 years. 4 years. And they say no crime was committed. They had to drop the charges. They can't find anything against the guy. The media smeared him. They just released this in the media to ruin his reputation year after year, after year, after year, after year. So, Jill, after a while, look, either you have the evidence or you don't. And look, I mean, the old expression, you throw enough mud against the wall, some of it eventually sticks. And that's, I think, their strategy against Gaetz. Just throw mud after mud after mud and hope some of it sticks. So if you've got him with a 17-year-old girl, then release the evidence. I don't think they have the evidence because I don't believe it's true. Jill, what say you?
Another little side note here.
Yes, please. Go ahead, Jill.
My son, unfortunately, is a liberal. He was indoctrinated in college. I was dropping my 5- and 7-year-old grandsons off at JCC because the teachers are on strike. But they said, oh, Trump is bad. He's bad for the country. He hates the poor. Well, I educated them and said, he doesn't hate the poor. This country has no money because of the illegal aliens. We have failing bridge. I explained infrastructure, and I said, and the housing shortage. And that's why the country is in trouble. And your grandmother, aunts and uncles, great aunts and uncles, came from the Philippines, and they came through the system, and that's the way it's supposed to be. They worked. They became citizens.
And what did your son say?
My grandsons.
Oh, forgive me.
My son isn't here. Oh, because I'm watching them. They're away. They didn't say anything. But I'm sure they're going to mention it to their dad, and their dad's going to be mad at me. We don't discuss politics. I'm not changing his mind. He's not changing mine. But, oh, well, I may be thrown out.
No, you won't be thrown out. Actually, that's a checkmate argument. See, you keep giving arguments like this, you're planting a seed in their minds. And it's going to grow and grow and grow. You just keep doing it, Jill. You're really doing what's best for your family. Never shy away from speaking the truth. Jill, God bless you, and thank you for that call. 617-266-6868. Okay, so I read earlier that Lindsey Grahamnesty, as we like to call him, was saying he's not sure about Matt Gaetz. He was 1,000% for Merrick Garland, but he's not sure about Matt Gaetz. Well, I guess his constituents found out. See, this is what I mean. We're going to have to carry Matt Gaetz to the finish line, senator by senator. He got such massive blowback from Trump supporters in South Carolina. And they told him, you don't support Matt Gaetz, we're going to primary your ass. Your career is over. Well, guess what? Who do you think was on Fox this morning? There's Lindsey Graham. And I was misunderstood. No. Now the line is, let's give Matt a chance. Sure. He should be Attorney General. Let's give him a chance, says AG. So we're going to have to do this. As Nancy Pelosi told Biden, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. So if we have to call up every wavering Republican senator and say, hey, either you vote for Matt or we're going to primary you. It's up to you. You want to commit political suicide over this? If this is the hill you want to die on, go ahead. But politically, you're finished if you go against Matt Gaetz. And I think we can get to the magic number of 50. Derek in Fall River. Thanks for holding, Derek, and welcome.
All right, finally I get to talk to you.
Derek, go ahead.
I just want to say I love you in a non-sexual way, my friend.
Thank you, Derek. What's on your mind, my friend?
I'm surprised no one has came and said the mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani. What about him? What's wrong with that guy?
Oh, he'd be great. I think, Derek, the only thing is he's in his 80s. I think.
I understand that.
But I got to tell you, though, Matt Gaetz has said he's going to be using Rudy as an advisor.
Oh, nice.
And that Rudy also, speaking very highly of Matt Gaetz, he says, I kind of want to mentor him. He goes, I want Matt to become like, everybody's their own person, but kind of like a Rudy 2.0. And if you notice, Derek, all of Trump's picks, look how young they are. Tulsi Gabbard in her 40s, Pete Hegseth in his 40s, Lee Zeldin at EPA, 40s, Matt Gaetz in their 40s. What is it, J.D. Vance? What is he, barely 40 years old? So he's grooming a new generation of leaders. And Matt is definitely going to work very closely with Rudy Giuliani. Final word to you, Derek.
I saw the interchange with Trump and Biden. And you know what? Biden looks so happy.
Oh, he voted for him. Derek, I'm telling you. You can see Biden said, oh, yeah? You guys overthrew me for her? Donald, my friend. Suddenly, notice, Derek, he's no longer Hitler. That's no. 9:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Are you happy with Trump's cabinet picks so far? Honestly, I'm on cloud nine. I love outside of Rubio, who, as I said, I'm a little squeamish about. As I said, not quite 100% certain about that one. But outside of Rubio as Secretary of State, I love every pick. One more than the other. To me, I can't be happier, but that's me. Jeff in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Jeff, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call. How are you doing today?
My pleasure, Jeff.
I got to tell you, I'm pretty happy with all the picks. And one thing that really has stricken me with the picks is the maturation process of Trump as a politician. And I think the last 4 years not being there has been extremely beneficial for him planning forward. What do you think about that?
Oh, I love that. I think you're really onto something. And I'm just curious. I mean, I know you like so many of the picks, but you say, Jeff, this is really showing a different level of political maturity. Give me 2 or 3 picks, choices that he's made, selections, where you say, that's not the Trump of 2016. This is a guy who's, let's put it this way, been around the block a few times now. Knows the swamp, knows Washington, knows who his enemies are, and is really making some really intelligent, savvy picks. Are there any 2 or 3 that really stand out for you?
Almost all of them. Almost all of them are exponentially better than the last time around for the equal positions. Hegseth is an incredible pick as far as I'm concerned. I do realize that you have to go back as far as General Lee to get the military acumen of a Lizzie Warren or whatever, but I don't really hold her in too much high esteem as far as that goes. And if I could just chime in on one other thing real quick.
Yes.
As far as yesterday's show went with the talk of deportation.
Yes.
I think that's going to go a lot further on voter integrity than people realize, because I wouldn't put it past Trump to hold a snap census and redistrict the country according to the actual population of Americans. and that would change a lot as far as voting integrity in the houses.
Oh, and representation in Congress. You're completely right, Jeff. Well, think about it. 20 to 30 million illegals gone. So think about, how it shrinks the population of our country. And you look at those blue states, just take Massachusetts, for example. New Hampshire, not so bad, but Mass, they're going to lose representation in Congress. The Dems are going to lose a lot of seats. There's no in the House. They're going to lose a lot of seats in the House. There's no question. California is going to lose seats. Massachusetts is going to lose seats. Illinois, New York State's going to lose at least a couple of seats. So you're right. The political consequences are going to be huge. And they're going to benefit Trump, MAGA, Republicans, and they're going to really damage the Democrats. A really good point. Jeff, thank you for that call. Nick in South Boston. Thanks for holding, Nick, and welcome.
Hello, Jeff.
Nick,
how are you?
Very good, my friend. Couldn't be better.
I am so grateful for all you've done for the conservative movement here in Boston.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Nick.
I was wondering, is there any room in Trump's cabinet for General Flynn?
That's funny. Sandy and I talked about that in the pre-show production meeting. Look, everything I read all summer, all fall, was that Trump feels so loyal to Flynn because Flynn opened his eyes on so many things and risked so much for Trump that, Trump even said, hey, look, if you want to be my VP, I'll make you my VP. And Flynn was like, no, I don't want the VP slot. But basically, this is what they said. Whatever General Flynn wants, General Flynn will get. So I thought, well, if he wants defense secretary, he's got it. CIA, he's got it. Whatever, national security advisor, he's got it. So part of me's thinking, does he want FBI? But everything I'm reading now, and again, these are just rumors, but still, it's going to be Kash Patel, who would be a phenomenal pick. So Sandy said, look, he did make that deal, that plea deal. He took the deal. And so when he took the deal, that's going to be very hard for him to pass confirmation. So maybe Trump wants to make him kind of like intelligence czar. The way he's making home and border czar, and it looks like RFK Jr. health czar. Because one of the things I love about Trump's picks, Nick, he's got his guy at CIA now, Ratcliffe. He's got Tulsi Gabbard at DNI, Department of the Director of National Intelligence. He's got Mike Waltz as his national security advisor. He's got Kristi Noem at Homeland Security. He's now boxing in the deep state. They're in trouble. They're in big trouble now. His people are there. You finish it off with Matt Gaetz and say Kash Patel. Gaetz at DOJ and Patel at FBI. It's pretty much checkmate. And then you have Flynn oversee the whole thing. And he is going to drain that swamp, and in particular, drain that deep state. He's going to bleed them dry. So, Nick, I think maybe he's setting up General Flynn to be the overall intelligence czar, to really put the final nail in the deep state's coffin. Look, I got to tell you, I don't want to get too excited or ahead of myself. Trump is playing 5D chess. He's on offense. He's on the warpath. And my friends, for the first time, we're going to win this baby all the way.